A big shout out though. I mean, you need to, if you're a single stake pool operator, please go in on our website. Please go in and fill in this survey because, I mean, if you have an opportunity to get a delegation to, I would think that's financially very interesting, but also, getting the spotlight and getting in contact with our community team and so on. So if you're not already in the survey, please do so. I think this is only very positive. There's no real drawback on it.
Yeah. So with that focus on single stake pool operators, is that solely from your delegation strategy, or is the Cardano Foundation's vision of Cardano moving forward and essentially the idealistic view of all stake pool operation on Cardano? Do you believe that single pool operators are what Cardano should be moving forward, or and really are multi pool operators bad? Are they looking past Cardano's parameters and ignoring them and, running these multi-pools against Cardano? Is being a single stake pool operator, what you should do if you feel, if you want Cardano to succeed long term?
Probably think about it a little bit like when you want to do a pizza in a stone oven, right? So there's multiple ways to put the dough together. There's multiple ways to put the topping together. You can go for more like an ecological, sustainable solution where all the ingredients are like 20 kilometers away from your house and there's no like large supply chain around it. But you can also have a good business model where everything is as cheap as possible, is frozen down, and it can be mass distributed into areas who simply cannot afford to get food, and it's a good way of doing delivery. Is one bad? Is one not bad? That's a really hard one to call out. So the way I think about it is that today there is huge incentive for exchanges to run a centralized stake pool operator service. The owner of the ADA, they have a very secure wallet. There might even be like an insurance component around that, and it's very easy for the exchange to keep everything under one roof. It's optimized towards yield. It's not optimized towards impact. So we see that operating model works really well, right? There's even
Yeah.
some exchanges who have more than 70. So, and if you look into the nature of proof of stake, you would also find that some centralization is actually expected. Large stake pool operators would tend to do better than small, just based on the math. But luckily we have the K factor, right? And the K factor gives a little bit of a balance. But what we haven't seen is that these exchanges, even though they're doing a lot of good advertisement, they haven't built a lot of tools for the ecosystem. They haven't spread a lot of love for the ecosystem. They don't care so much about what token or what business they're selling as long as there is liquidity there. Therefore, we said, okay, so how do we go to the other ends of the pendulum and start supporting some of the people who do content, who moderate, who do translations, who do tools, and operate a single stake pool all the time? Because if K is not moving, how do we actually, how do we give some love over there? And as they're anyway are building, but they might not have sufficient time to build because they have a day job and they need to, run two jobs, one the stake pool and the other one maybe another job. How do we actually ensure that they have best of the brain power available to do that?
Yeah.
So I think about a little bit about, we shouldn't be calling out what's good and what's bad, but we should ensure that what creates the largest adoption and the largest, let's say, use of the Cardano blockchain in multiple different ways, not just one use case, is what we need to support. Because if then one use case due to regulatory means is cut off, then we still have 100 other use cases. Or if something doesn't work out over the long time, nobody uses the technology, then we have 99 other use cases. So this diversity in the uses of the blockchain is something we have a lot of focus on. And then last but not least, still coming back to these economic incentives, I think it's really, really important that we start understanding how they're going to play out on the long run. I think, stake pool operators is a direct incentivized population on the blockchain who has one of the most important jobs. They actually run the blockchain. And therefore, I'm also a big fan of the SIP 47 and, building in this opportunity that stake pool operators not just have a implicit say of it, but they actually can choose to run the code or not the code, but there is also more formal say in terms of they accepting a hard fork combinator, yes or no.
Yeah. Yeah, that I really appreciate that answer, and I agree completely with your delegation strategy. It doesn't make sense to support multi-stake pool operators, and I also see the huge issue with exchanges. I mean, not only do exchanges run these large farms, and they're not incentivized to run proper servers, they're not incentivized to update in time. On top of that, they're also incentivized more than everyone else on the entire ecosystem. The A0 parameter, it pays out 30% more on top of the 4% people are already earning. So if people are earning, 4%, the exchanges are all earning 5.1%. So there's really a direct incentive for exchanges on Cardano to say, hey, look, we're going to pay you guys all more rewards than your stake pool operators. We're going to get your vote. You're also going to get added risk in case the servers are hacked or the exchanges go down. So yeah, I agree with that completely, and I think that the A0 parameter needs to be changed. I don't think that exchanges should have voting keys, nor should I think they should run these large server farms. But from my perspective, there is nuance to that. Multi-pool operators in the ecosystem that are providing value, building community tools, and employing people, and exchanges that they don't have any say. Like it doesn't matter what happens to them because they have all this money coming no matter what. They hold the funds themselves. Whereas, I or Rick or other, multi-pool operators, if we do something wrong, if I say something that my delegates don't like, I'm accountable to them. Whereas, Binance isn't. So, moving forward, I think that's important is just the nuance between, large exchanges and, smaller operators that need support and, multi-pool operators that are developing this ecosystem, especially as we move towards the future of smart contract delegation, where it's going to be, DAOs and protocols delegating to their own pools. And, these DAOs and protocols have 7 pools, and who are they up against? It's very interesting the way things are going.
Yeah, and I think some of this is also just operational efficiency. People sometimes underestimate how much it actually takes to get those lists and go through those reviews and actually have a balanced view on it. But from our point of view, I think we're just, when we get D-reps and a couple of more tooling on the blockchain, I think we will definitely look into also delegating to people who operate multiple pools. The reason we cut the line as we cut the line is because then there was no discussion. And I think we can, already today we feel more comfortable in maybe taking another step because we're very clear about who is it we don't want to delegate to. Mm-hmm. And it's not just because you run 2 or 3 pools. Actually, what we want to hit is the people who actually contribute to the community and contribute with tooling or code or in other ways, spread the message about utility of the Cardano blockchain. So It's definitely something we have on our radar, and it's been up in the meeting several times.
Yeah, and with how complicated, all of this is and how hard it is to look through all of this information and find the nuance to it, when people see CF is only supporting single pools, which I think that's the right decision to go down, they think that, CF thinks all are bad and they must, fight for that, so that really does explain things. I really appreciate that.